Hello, this is Sir Patrick Stewart, best known for playing Professor X, Shakespearean roles, and Captain Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek. And you're watching As the Reel Turns. Engage and make it so, Mr. Saletti.
Hello everyone and welcome to As the Reel Turns, your place for all things movie and television. I am Daniel Saletti, your host, and we have got a great subject for you today. But before we get to it, let's always start out with our entertainment update, and we got a good one for you. Take it away.
I'm Dr. Chad Nye with your entertainment update. Today we have two updates and an anniversary, all from TV. Well, it is indeed the end of an era. The upcoming 25th season of PBS Kids' Arthur will be its last. The hit show has been the longest-running animated kids show since 1996. Arthur's producers pushed boundaries with some show subjects and changes in animation styles, and this will be a loss for the network's lineup.
DW! Hey! Whoa!
Now, just like the rest of the world, we at As the Reel Turns cannot get enough of Stranger Things. A few weeks ago, a sneak peek dropped showing glimpses of new scenes and updates to characters. Is Eleven being arrested? Why are there cheerleaders? Where are the boys biking to? Find out in 2022 when Season 4 comes out. Now, here's a double-header update connected to today's show. First, this month marks 55 years of the sci-fi franchise Star Trek. The saga premiered on September 8, 1966. Now, the other big Star Trek news, we just heard there will be a biofilm based around Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry. Further details have yet to be released.
You were the ones who said it first. Star Trek lives, and live it does. For over 2 decades it has.
I'm Dr. Chad Nye with your entertainment update. Now, back to you, Daniel.
How cool is that? I got my college professor, journalism expert, and broadcaster, Dr. Chad Nye, to do my update. Thank you, Dr. Nye. That was so cool, and I hope you do it again sometime. Now, like he said, we have something, one of the updates he mentioned, the doubleheader in fact, is connected to today's show. We're doing something called an Actor's Spotlight, which means we're going to highlight the career and a few highlights of one particular actor. And because it's September and because it's the 55th anniversary of Star Trek, we're going to do the one and only captain himself, James T. Kirk, William Shatner.
I think it's going to be a long, long time. Till touchdown, bring me round again and find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no, no, no. I'm a rocket man.
William Shatner, William Shatner, William Shatner.
Yes, we're going to try and not torture you with William Shatner's, or as many call him, Bill's singing, because it just, it's iffy. It's really iffy. But the William Shatner song that you heard otherwise, pretty fun. So yes, we're going to be talking about William Shatner. We're not going to cover every single bit in his career, but we're going to highlight, the big shows, the big films he's done, a lot of the actually TV shows more, and then some other little things closer to the end. And I got someone really special to talk about it with. We got a brand new friend of mine, really, and fellow actor Zach LaChance, who is coming to us all the way from Maine. And I am just so happy that you have joined us here. Thank you for joining us, Zach.
Thank you for having me, Daniel.
So let's get it out of our system. Are you ready to talk about Bill?
Bill Shatner.
Yes, Spock.
He's a friend of mine.
So, and yeah, we'll try not to do all the Shatner impressions because we love Bill. We really do. So, Bill has done a lot of things in his career, and
Questionable things.
a few questionable things. Yeah, that's true. But he didn't really even start big on television quite yet. One of the first big things he did was a play, and I believe it got turned into a film, but it's definitely a play. And I know I'm going to say this wrong, but I'm going to try really hard. It's called Incubus, and we might have a picture of it. And it was it's famous because it was entirely performed in Esperanto, the language Esperanto.
Oh.
So I don't want to exactly stay on Incubus real for now, but Zach, having Bill Shatner, who we all know can overact, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Do you think having him do a performance entirely in a different language, a language that's not necessarily spoken or heard all the time, do you think that was good for him?
I think so, because I think for Shatner, one of his biggest strengths is just really leaning into it, and a way for him to really get away with that is if he's speaking a language you don't understand.
Yeah.
There's no real, you can't really label him as going, oh, he really overdid that monologue, when what did he say? It's great. He can put so much of what he is thinking into that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But of course, this is a guy who is a screen actor most famously, and so one of his first big things that people got to see him in was not the thing that everyone knows him as. One of the two big performances that he did originally were from the ever popular Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone.
Yes.
And we have a couple clips here. This one is the less famous one of them, where Bill talks to like a fortune teller thing, and they gives him yes or no, and he's constantly trying to figure out yes or no. Spock. And then we'll show the more famous episode he was in, which
There's
is
a man on the wing.
There's
There's a man on the wing.
Nightmare on 20,000 Feet. So, what do we think of these performances? And wow, we jumped right there.
I gotta say, I did not see the second clip. Of course, the episode I know him from.
Right.
I didn't see it until well after I had seen him as Captain Kirk. So I think I was aware of people's perception of him by then. But I think there's something about Shatner in black and white in a suit in a confined area. It feels very theatrical, and I think it works for him.
Yeah.
There's just something about it.
Absolutely.
I think it works.
And I really do think that people should check out these clips, because if you know Shatner in his later performances, you know about him. But these are the ones that people saw him first in.
Sure.
And don't set aside that first performance, which the title is blanking on me right now. But check them both out.
Yeah.
Yes, the second one is more famous. It was redone in the Twilight Zone film, and it was even redone in the latest Zone interpretation. Not my favorite.
Yeah.
But funny thing is, in the film, it was redone with John Lithgow in the role of Shatner's role. Right. And Lithgow went on to be in the series Third Rock from the Sun. Mm-hmm. And Shatner guest stars on that in a couple episodes as this head alien, because they're all aliens. And you really have to know your zone for this. Shatner comes out by saying, the aliens ask him, "How was your flight, sir?" And he says, "It was fine, except once I boarded the plane, I saw something on the wheel of the plane." And then immediately the camera turns to Lithgow and says, "The same thing happened to me."
Oh, that's pretty good.
It was genius. So definitely check out these episodes of Twilight Zone if you're a Bill Shatner fan.
Real cerebral. That's a good one. That's a good one.
So, of course, Zone was in the 50s and early 60s.
Yeah.
But we enter the 60s and we come to the role that William Shatner is known for.
Captain Pike in a pilot called The Cage,
That's
right?
it. That's it.
That's it.
Enter a man named Gene Roddenberry and says, "Mr. Shatner, I have a role for you. It's the role of a starship captain in a science fiction show."
Wagon Train to the Stars, as he described it.
And Bill probably thought, that's a terrible title. How about you call it Star Trek? And of course, this was the scene. And so Bill ultimately made this role famous. He played Captain James T. Kirk, and we're seeing some of his most famous scenes here. Like, he was known for his fighting skills, like he is here with Khan, kissing scenes with Uhura, and then we'll get some other scenes as well. As these scenes roll by, Zach, tell us about Captain James T. Kirk.
I have vivid memories of this man and his many stunt doubles that don't look much like him. Particularly that scene where he fights Khan. That's the most obvious of his stunt doubles, but I love it. Kirk is a misunderstood character, I think. I think a lot of people either see him as just a hammy scene chewer, or from the more recent movies as he's just this brash, bullheaded rule breaker. But I think he's far more diplomatic and level-headed than people remember him for.
That's exactly it. And, we're seeing some of his diplomatic side here, because that's the other thing he was known for, these, very big speeches in Star Trek, and, making the point, and that's why we do the impression as it is.
Moral dilemmas.
Exactly. The other thing he was also known for was getting his shirt ripped.
Yes. From his very first episode, he had a big old rip down the shirt, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, this, Bill was known for Captain Kirk. Everyone knows him as Captain Kirk. And, Star Trek, of course, like we said before, is celebrating 55 years this September. And, this show only lasted 3 seasons. 3 seasons, and that was it. And
It went by just like that.
And they canceled it, yeah. But that wasn't all for Bill in Star Trek, because we would also have him return as the voice of Captain Kirk in the late 70s when they did the animated series. And I don't know if we have a picture of that. If not, that's fine. Or here, yeah, and we have the original intro here as well. Now, this was during a time, especially during the animated series, after Star Trek wrapped here, Bill was kind of in a bad spot. He was, quote, famously known for living in his car, and he had this made him a star, and so thank God he got the animated series. But what do you think? Do you think that was Kurt? Do you think it would have been curtains for him? Do you think he was done?
I don't necessarily think so. I think William Shatner had to have known that a show like Star Trek, as big as it was at the time, he had to have known that it was only going to get bigger as it went on, and there would be more Star Trek. Star Trek ended with a whimper, but I don't think he would have let it stay dead. He wrote, or at least hopefully actually wrote, and not totally ghost wrote, Kirk novels already, and he loves his character as much as we love him.
Yes.
And he absolutely would have seized every opportunity, I think, to play Kirk again. So it was probably good timing that the animated series came not too long after the original show.
Yeah. And, he would do guest appearances on other shows that, there are too many to count. But if you look at the filmography for him, there is plenty that he did in between.
Yeah.
But he definitely got his big break back come 1979 when Star Trek came into the big screen with the Star Trek films. And I think we do have some clips of his film career. Yeah, here we go. So come this time, people were so happy to see Kirk and crew back on screen. We have famous moments like in the motion picture. We have Khan here from Wrath of Khan. Do you think that Bill needed these movies, or do you think he wanted to come back to Kirk like not just as a voice, but like full time on screen?
I'm sure he wanted to come back, and I think these were definitely needed for him. I think if people just remembered Star Trek as a fun show, like, people remember now, like, say, the 60s Batman, as iconic as it is. They remember it for being a show. Most people don't even realize there was a movie. But I think because this spanned the original series cast over decades, like plural, this was something needed for him. And also, he directed 5, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He did, unfortunately, direct Star Trek V. And,
The camping episode.
The camping episode, yeah. I mean,
What's the name of that planet?
granted, I think he wanted to branch out. I mean, like you said, he's a man of many talents. He's an author. We did see him quote singing.
Yes.
He's an actor. And so I could see why he wanted to add directing to his repertoire.
Yeah.
Then again, some people are not born to direct.
You're right. You're right.
Well, save yourself the trouble and don't watch Star Trek V.
Skip over
Except
it.
for the camping scenes.
Sure.
Those are fine.
Sure, yeah.
Fine.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 gently down the stream.
Merrily, 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 merrily. Come on, Spock.
Spock has those, something about rocket boots or something
the
like that.
rocket
Yep,
boots.
yep.
The rocket boots.
Yeah, of course.
But no, I mean, this is a this was the thing that made him famous again. And I didn't want to dwell the entire show on Star Trek.
Sure.
This is only one bit of his career.
Yeah.
William Shatner is not Kirk. Just like Leonard Nimoy has always said, "I am not Spock." Later he wrote, "I am Spock."
Yes.
Go figure.
Yes.
But yes, so let's, as much as it pains me, move on from Star Trek to
My time's up.
to move on to something that posed the question, why? William Shatner was commanding a starship. Now he's commanding a cop car. This is T.J. Hooker. We have the opening credits here.
Oh boy.
T.J. Hooker is, yes, I'm going to say it, another cop show. It's just another cop show. But and this was in the 80s, and it was called T.J. Hooker, with Shatner playing the titular character. That question was asked. He moves on from commanding in space to commanding
A Plymouth?
a Plymouth. So, tell me, Zach, was this a good move for Shatner to accept T.J. Hooker, or do you think it's just another cop show with Captain Kirk?
I think at the time it probably seemed like a great idea. I mean, a leading role in another hopefully big show.
Yep.
It was, I mean, he had to have something to coast him into the 90s. I'm sure he wanted some kind of big gig like that. I think the problem is the material, probably.
Yeah.
And also just, it's not, he's not someone who should be on a show that's like other shows, I mean, Star Trek wasn't like anything of its time, really.
Yeah.
And T.J. Hooker definitely was.
Yeah, I mean, it did last 5 seasons, which is impressive.
Yeah.
And I do want to mention before we go any farther that yes, my mother and her friends in school voted him the best kisser, just because of Star Trek.
Is that so?
It is so.
Wow.
So there you go.
Wow.
I know, right? But yeah, no, it's a good thing you said about him coasting into the 90s. I think it's just he needed something, and T.J. Hooker was there.
It was something.
It was there. So if you like cop shows and you want to see William Shatner do something different, by all means check it out. Funny enough, there are some Trek connections in this. Admiral Paris from Star Trek Voyager, who was Tom Paris's father, would be on this show, as well as James Darren, famous for Vic Fontaine from DS9. And then the non-Star Trek connection is idol Heather Locklear was on this show as well. So there you go.
Okay. All right.
I can go with that.
Yeah. Well,
That was T.J. Hooker, but Shatner has been known as an actor. Now, how would he do as a basically dramatic television host? Let's enter Rescue 911. This was one of the very first ever reality TV shows, and we have this intro here that let's keep this running because this will pick up eventually. And Shatner would be reading this at the beginning of every episode.
Sure.
But what it basically has said here is these were real events that would be either recreated somehow or told about, and if they could use the actual people, that would be the best. Of real 911 calls. And they would tell you the story of what happened, and it would be hosted by Shatner. Shatner was not in any of the scenarios, either in real life or reenacting it, but these would be real events. And it was on for quite a long time, and it's just very impressive because it was different. Like Star Trek, it was different. Having these real events be retold to people who may not have even heard of them, known about it, or anything like that. So, what are your thoughts on Rescue 911 and Bill's interaction? There he is.
There he is. Oh, the man himself.
The man himself.
What a rug. I have to say, that's a lot more like it. Compared to T.J. Hooker, this seems like something that he can... I mean, there's a little opportunity to go a little big, but he's able to kind of... I think shows like that can have an audience, they have a lasting impact. Oh my gosh, this really happens. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Who better to serve it up to you than the man who's been serving you such dramatic moral dilemmas since 1966? This is, it's a great gig for him, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't actually personally seen the show,
Yeah.
but it seems interesting.
You can, I remember one time I was actually flipping through the channels and I saw it and I thought, oh my gosh, what's this doing on TV?
Right.
It's been off for so long.
Sure.
But yeah, I think you can definitely find episodes online, on YouTube, stuff like that. The cool thing about this is, and I'm still waiting for it, is that they're in the works of, like everything else nowadays, rebooting this show.
Magic word.
And they want Bill to come back. He is slated to come back, and it was going to be produced by a man named Jason Hervey. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because he played the brother Wayne Arnold on The Wonder Years. He was the mean old brother to poor Kevin, Fred Savage's character. So, if my good friend Casey Schmidl-Gagney is watching, there's your Wonder Years connection for this episode. And it wasn't Danica. How cool is that?
Hey, our recurring guest star, Danica? Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, I will say that. And so yeah, no, Rescue 911, it is, it's different. Like I said, it is definitely a must-see if you can find it. And I don't even think like even Star Trek or T.J. Hooker had got a DVD release, but check it out. It's much harder to find, so good luck finding it. Enter the 2000s. Now, the 2000s have brought with it some interesting things for Bill. He tried to do a sitcom at one point. This would be later on in the 2000s, but I'll mention it now. Called, I kid you not, this was the title, Bleep My Dad Says. It wasn't even a curse word right there. It was called Bleep My Dad Says.
Interesting.
And it did not last long. I don't think even an entire full season. So, but he tried. And one of the shows he did get big success with in the 2000s was, we're going to play the intro right here, and I swear it's one of the best theme songs ever. Ooh. It's called Boston Legal. Boston Legal. And so the stars of the show were Alan Shore and then Bill at the very end, and also Candice Bergen of Murphy Brown fame. The rest of the cast would be reoccurring. We actually have two more Star Trek connections. John Larroquette, who played a Klingon in Star Trek 3. And then we also have Renee Auberjonois, who played Odo in DS9. This show is about a law firm that Bill's character, Denny Crane, you have to say his name just like that, Denny Crane, who was a partner in the law firm along with Candice Bergen and then another one. And they really did like this over-the-top comedy but also seriousness, and it mixed very well. And then the other thing that you would see throughout the film, the series, would be breaking the fourth wall.
Really?
They loved breaking the fourth wall, we have these I remember at the beginning of one season they said, we have these brand new characters. Roll the opening credits.
It's 10 o'clock.
Are we not on?
It's supposed to be Tuesday at 10 every week.
We've been moved. We're Wednesday at 10.
Nobody called me.
They told Howie in word processing.
They called Howie in word processing?
Are we Wednesdays at 10 from now on?
No, we're off next week, then on for the following 2 Wednesdays.
What about next year?
Best to just keep checking in with Howie.
We spend more money. We watch more television, go to more movies. We buy more CDs than young people do. And yet we're the focus of less than 10% of the advertising. All the networks want to do is skew younger. Kids shows for kids. You know, the only show unafraid to have its stars over 50 is... I can't say it would break the wall.
Or something like that. And then Bill himself, there's a video compilation of him throwing in Star Trek references.
Really?
There's like a scene where he and James Spader's character, Alan Shore, would be were reading something in a cabin one time, and do you hear about these things? They just like latch onto your leg, and it's ridiculous. They're calling them Klingons. Did you say Klingons? No. Okay.
What is that? Bev bought me a camera phone. I'm the big gun of this boat, the captain. You're nothing but a skinny, overpaid deckhand.
No, I am the deckhand who steers the ship because the captain isn't up to it anymore.
Get out. I didn't know we were in the market for a second home.
Oh, well, actually, darling, when you see the Kona Coast, you may be thinking of first homes.
What am I supposed to do, beam myself to Boston every morning? EddieCraneLaw.com. Pictures, bios, hobbies. I once captained my own spaceship, multi-talented.
And so stuff like that, it would be thrown in there just to, get people to say, hey, it's Bill Shatner here.
We have to prosecute this man. He's a con man. Did someone say con?
Exactly. So what are your thoughts on Boston Legal?
I have to say that seems like quite a cast.
Yeah.
To be put together. I would love to see repeated episodes of James Spader and William Shatner occupying the same space and breaking the fourth wall. I have to say again, I'm guilty. I've not seen Boston Legal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, however, that seems like a very, very strong choice for him to be because he's last in the credits, and the way he's introduced in the theme song there really seems like he's sort of it's me. I am William Shatner. Like he knows he's the cameo.
Yeah.
He knows he's the big deal.
Yeah.
Seems like a fun premise.
It is, and I mean, the thing about it is, the show lasted 5 seasons, which is again pretty good, and they would end many, if not all, of the episodes with Spader and Shatner sitting on the balcony of either his home, must be his home because it couldn't be the law office, I don't think, in Boston. With 2 cigars in their mouth and just basically recurring the events of the episode.
Really?
And it was like, this is either pure gold or ridiculous, but I'm going to go with pure gold. The fact that the 2 of them are smoking cigars on the balcony.
Love that. I mean, it's so just, that's what you want. That's what Shatner's for, especially at this point in his career, I think. That's what he's for. Just sitting on a deck with James Spader, just kicking back like, this was quite an episode. I can see it. I can see it.
And that's the other thing about this show is that it's technically a spin-off because Shatner's character of Denny Crane was first featured on a show called The Practice, and then they brought him and also James Spader's character, I think, was on that show for a little bit, came onto this, and there you have it. So it was technically a spinoff, and it was the show was produced by David R. Kelly, who has done other things. He has another show set in Montana, I believe, right now. So whenever I see his name, I'm like, oh, Boston Legal guy. But yeah, this was definitely like the next big show, I think, for Shatner, because if you go to a convention, like I've seen videos of him at conventions, they'll talk about Captain Kirk, and then they'll talk about, Denny Crane. So, I bet, and he did win an award for this one. He won an Emmy for it, so
really?
He was definitely worthy, and I bet loved this role just
Emmy
as much.
Award winner William Shatner.
Absolutely.
Wow, giving him what he deserves. That's
Absolutely.
what I say. Very good.
So after that, it came to another kind of slow point. You didn't really see him too often. He did a lot of guest appearances still.
Yep.
And he would. This man again continued to put out some songs. And let's take a break about his acting and talk about the singing career.
Sure.
He was doing this ever since Star Trek.
Yeah.
And you saw in the intro there that he doesn't basically sing the songs, he more speaks the songs. And it's come down to a point like, Shatnerizing a song.
Yes. Yeah.
If you speak the song. So imagine taking like a song like you saw in the opening credits, Rocket Man, Rocket Man, Burning. Or, one of his other big hits was Lucy, In the Sky.
With diamonds.
Exactly. And, people will buy this.
Sure.
And I know why they buy it. It's because they see William Shatner and they say, I don't care how bad this is, I want to get it.
Sure.
Do you think this was a wise decision for him to do a singing career, or?
Yes, wholeheartedly yes. It's so entertaining. It's entertaining from our side because we can see what he's doing. We can gauge the quality ourselves, but also I really hope that it's true that it seems like he's sort of unaware of the humor in it. It seems more just like they appreciate me as an artist. They love my singing. Like, it makes sense. I know Mike and Jay from a YouTube channel called Red Letter Media went to a live show that he did. I believe it was mostly like his music. And he would end each live show playing a slideshow of like images of himself accompanied by music. And he would sit on the stool and look up lovingly at the photos of himself. Like, it's his time to bask in being Shatner.
That's true.
I say, great choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I've tried really hard to enjoy it and, to give him the benefit of the doubt. Now,
Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. Oh, he had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say, it glues.
'Cause we'll never be wrong. Together we can take it to the end of the line. Your love is like a shadow on me all the time. Don't know what to do. And I'm always in the dark. We're living in a public game and giving off sparks. I really need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. Once upon a time, I was falling in love. But now I'm only falling apart.
Now, Bill, and I know you're watching, Bill, I love you still. I want you to know that. I love you. But your singing, buddy, is just like...
It's great for a live performance like that you take your friends to after you've had a couple of drinks. It's less so when you're driving on the road, you want something to play on Spotify. You don't necessarily go with him first.
No.
You probably go with what was it that Nimoy did, the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins or something like that.
Which is funny because, he, on a few songs, sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And we have seen footage of Bill singing, and I'll put this in later on. The camping scene. We come back to the camping scene in Star Trek 5.
Absolutely.
They sing "Row, row, row your boat," and
They do.
he's actually singing the words.
Yep.
And he's not half bad. So my question is, I don't know why he does that, but go figure. If you want to, if you don't like someone, just play that over the sound speaker, or if you want to go and try it yourself, look up Bill on any music thing that you can find.
If you're hosting a wedding, a school dance, a funeral, any sort of venue that requires music of any kind, give his Rocket Man a spin.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I think he did that either in front of Elton John or somewhere. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, oh man.
In front of Elton.
I'm like, yeah, Elton's probably like, oh God, what did I do?
Just, oh. Wow.
But yeah, no. Let's now get back to his acting career here, or screen career anyway, with another show that is somewhat forgotten. You could say Rescue 911 is somewhat forgotten, or even T.J. Hooker, or even Twilight Zone, frankly. But we're going to talk about a show here that was another reality show, only lasted 2 seasons, criminally canceled, called Better Late Than Never. And I think I want to keep this rolling for the entirety of it. So this was a show. Now tell me if this premise sounds good to you. You take William Shatner, Henry Winkler, George Foreman, and Terry Bradshaw, and you send them on a trip towards first season Asia, second season Europe.
It's the best concept I've ever heard. Did you just see him in that captain's hat?
I did. So this is Better Late Than Never. It was on NBC for, like I said, 2 seasons, and it was a glorified travelogue story with the most ridiculous premise you've ever heard. And by this time, they're calling Shatner cultural icon William Shatner. So I ask you, I mean, would you watch this show?
Yeah, I'd be watching it right now if I weren't on this lovely program.
Thank you.
This is something else. Look at this. This is something that needs to be brought back. We need the same boys back. We need to bring in a new crew.
That's what I said.
Wow.
And you know, the thing is that you watch this, we're watching the intro now, it looks like the most ridiculous and frankly, might even say stupidest thing you'd ever seen.
Sure.
And yes, there are points where there would be stupid moments, but otherwise, they would input facts in there. You would see the love between these 5 guys. Actually, I forgot to include Jeffrey. And, you know, yes, there are weird things, especially in Asia. You know, the stuff they ate would be slightly disturbing. But, really, this is an amazing show. And the second season in Europe, we're seeing the Asian one here. The second season in Europe is just as good because you find fascinating stuff about that culture. You get connections between long lost family members. There really is a lot of heart in the show. You just have to look for it. So, do you really think that this is a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
asked that, but it's like
I'll defend
I have
him.
to keep asking it.
Yeah, I'll defend a lot of choices he's made, as strange as they are. I still think you should have made every one of them.
Yeah.
But this is something where, like, you know, you just hope that if ever one day he inevitably, he passes, which we hope not.
Oh God, no.
We hope not. Let's not say he'll be immortal. He'll outlive us all.
That's true.
But we hope that in the reels that they'll play, it won't just be Star Trek. There'll be something with him hanging out with the Fonz, you know, like from this delightful travelogue series. Seems like a fun thing to roll some clips of.
Now that's the other thing about this show that I want to actually input and veer off a little bit on now. Yeah. There are scenes in this show where he would get a little bit like know-it-all, sort of.
Oh, of course.
And, this is Bill we're talking about. But and it would annoy some of the other people, and that is a unfortunate point in his career. I mean, he's had points where he hasn't gotten along with a lot of people. And
I follow his Twitter. I know.
And famously, Star Trek was one of them.
Yeah.
And I can't speak for T.J. Hooker or 911, but or Boston Legal. I think he got along with Boston Legal, but I think it's because people know him as the over-the-top guy. A little bit full of himself. Again, only a little bit, but he's mellowed over the years. What do you think of? Do you think people get the wrong impression of him, or do you think maybe he was just thinking, I want to be the rising star, and he's decided to take that back over the years, or?
I totally understand it. I mean, he has such a big personality, and he's known for being in such a way where I feel like that would kind of rub some people the wrong way. He is the leading man. He's the star.
Yeah.
And I can see why. I mean, if you're on a set trying to get work done, especially on a TV show where you can sometimes be shooting for 12, 14-hour days for very extended periods of time. Having shirtless Bill Shatner getting sprayed down to look damp, and he's telling you that you need to improve as an actor. Like, I'm sure it can get a little grating.
Yeah, no, and I understand that. But I think he can be a really nice guy.
Sure.
And I have the proof of him being a nice guy that I will explain closer to the end.
Hello.
But another thing we saw in there, and that we saw also in a film clip from Star Trek, was he is a man with horses. He is a horse rider, and he has had some pretty close calls in later years. There's a famous clip of him. Of him actually falling off a cart in a horse race, and then he's also had a few other close calls as well. but he is a he rides horses, and it's actually really cool. And he goes in the same vein as people like Christopher Reeve, who was a big horse rider and tragically had his accident. Now Bill, frankly, has not happily has not had that. But what do you think? You know, a lot of these actors have hidden talents. Did you know about this hidden talent of his? And tell us about it.
I vaguely knew about that. I think I've seen that clip you're talking about where he falls off the cart. Yeah, but I can see it. I mean, as big and brash and bold and hoo-ha as you can be, everybody has a little bit of a side interest that they have, or a passion they have, something that's a little softer, a little, you know, it makes sense to me. I could just see Bill Shatner out there on the countryside, or even frankly on the highway, on horseback, on his way to a convention or something.
Yeah.
You know, I could see it.
Well, yeah, no, and I absolutely agree, and that'd be pretty funny to see him on the highway there, riding away. So now we're going to move into some pictures. I don't have too much video of these next couple shows, but he's done a lot of more reality shows in his later years, along the veins of Rescue 911. Yeah. One here we'll talk about is a talk show that was called Shatner's Raw Nerve, and that was the title of it. Ooh. Now, Shatner's Raw Nerve basically incorporated him talking with a guest in a, this is a little full of himself, S-shaped chair. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so I don't know if we have a picture of the cover art or not, but
I hope so.
This was a talk show, and he would have guests of all type. He had a few Star Trek people, including Chekhov, Walter Koenig.
Yes.
And then he would also have, I think he had rock star Gene Simmons, and then he even had talk show late talk show host Rush Limbaugh on there.
Oh wow!
So having all these big names on there, and basically just having a talk for how long the show was, does that seem like a good fit for Bill?
Yeah, of course. It's as long as he's the focus and he can be himself alongside a bunch of guests who can be themselves.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in that big S-shaped, you know, all the sort of accoutrement that fit the Shat. Yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm surprised that some of the guests actually came to do it because I know Chekhov, Walter Koenig had some problems with him during Trek.
I'm sure he couldn't get George Takei on the show.
No, God,
they
no,
infamously have a bit of.
I know Leonard was on there.
Really?
I don't think he has a problem with Gene Simmons, but then you also have like controversial ones like Rush Limbaugh. Yeah. Not everybody is a Rush Limbaugh fan. Nope. But I remember I saw that one, I saw the Koenig one, and the thing with the Limbaugh one is like, they didn't talk too much politics. They were just having a chat.
Sure.
They wanted to talk about each other's career, and that's the nice thing about it, and I like that.
William Shatner, William Shatner, William Shatner, William Shatner.
Shatner has also done some investigative type reality shows into the strange things. And the first thing, one of the first shows was called Weird or What? William Shatner's Weird or What? And I'm in the same vein as you with Hooker and 911. I haven't seen this show per se, but it's basically investigating strange occurrences and strange happenings. Kind of dipping back into science fiction world.
Yeah.
What do we think? Do you think Bill would be good at this?
It fits. He's a good host with a good personality. I will say that seems more like a Nimoy type show, though.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely looking in search of.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I can see it, and I think it would be. I could almost sort of see them, him being Nimoy being his co-host maybe for an episode or something. If they had their scraps.
They did have a falling out at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a good premise. Seems like a good show, and I can see him, especially when is that weird or what?
Yeah,
like, I can see that.
You can see that. Yeah,
it's got a good sell.
Another one that he's doing right now on the History Channel is, and as far as I know, it's still on. Is called The Unexplained, and that's in the same vein. I don't know why they didn't continue with Weird or What, but I think definitely it was a. It's not a bad show. I saw a few clips of it. But even if these are not good shows, even if they turn out to be like, oh, come on, it's like the same weird occurrences. Oh yeah, another UFO sighting.
If a real one was discovered, we'd hear about it in the news, not necessarily on Shatner's Thursday night time slot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even if despite that, do you think people watch it because it has his name in it?
Yeah, definitely, because there's a lot of shows that are a lot like that, sort of like a TJ Hooker, where I feel like if you're watching it for him, or because of his connection to sci-fi and the like. So I suppose.
Same thing with singing too.
Yeah. You're there because it's him, not just because of I heard this voice on the radio. I don't know who it belonged to.
Yeah.
You're there for William Shatner.
So now we're coming to the end of the show, and I quickly want to highlight a few more extra things. One being, if you want to see a great connection between some of his Hooker co-stars and some Trek co-stars, check out This Is Your Life, which was a show that was in Britain but then came to America, basically where they take an actor and they look at their life, not just their career, their actual life, and they bring out guest stars and fellow actors, family members, teachers, whatever. There's a great one with Bill, and they actually even start out with the they surprise Bill at the Universal Studios Star Trek adventure, which my mother actually did.
Wow.
And so he's sitting in the chair and he's like, oh yeah. The only problem is you can tell that he did not want to be connected to Trek at the time, because the host said, well, how do we get to my studio from the bridge of the Enterprise? Best way is the transport of it, isn't that right, Mr. Shatner? Well, zap me there. It's like, I'm pretty sure you know the term, but whatever.
It seems really superfluous me to ask whether you had a good time together.
No, it was terrible. Terrible. I don't want to embarrass the man in front of his wife and his nice daughters. I mean, why are people saying all these nice things about him? He's a terrible man. He's cruel. You owe me a bicycle.
Another thing is, if you want to see, this was during the time after Star Trek where he was looking for more work and opportunities. He was even in the second Airplane movie, Airplane 2.
That's right, he was.
He's sitting there on his periscope.
In his control room, Oh, absolutely. Right. What about an Airplane 3? No, that's what they'll be expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What is it, Lieutenant?
Sir, the Mayflower's in trouble. She's coming in hotter than a firecracker, sir.
We better get to the tower, Lieutenant.
We have no tower, sir.
No tower?
Just a bridge, sir.
Why the hell aren't I notified about these things? Lieutenant, how would you handle this?
We could try ignoring it, sir.
I see. Pretend nothing has happened and hope everything turns out all right in the morning.
Just a thought, sir.
I've considered that. There's got to be a better angle. If they've lost their crew and are on manual, who's in control of that bucket, Lieutenant?
Some guy by the name of Ted Stryker, sir.
Ted Stryker?
Do you know him, sir?
Never heard of him. That's not exactly true. We were like brothers. We flew together during the war.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a classic bit.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I love that. It's great.
Yeah.
But one of his biggest TV things that people know him about in like modern day, and it is not even a TV show or a film. It is a very short thing. It's commercials.
Yeah.
And there's one commercial that everybody knows him as. You know the jingle, Priceline Negotiator.
It's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it starts right after the jingle, so that's my
the Priceline Negotiator, which he had a share in the company. He did have an owning in the company.
Yep.
And it's just a travel company. That's all it is, pretty much. But he developed this character. They gave him a personality. They gave him a daughter in the form of Penny from The Big Bang.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's really, really silly, but. These Priceline commercials, do you think like he's maybe thinking, God, are people going to know me for commercials, or should I even own anything in this company, or what?
I think so. With the catchy little jingle, they were on all the time. There's certainly something I remember quite fondly.
Yep.
I loved whenever those would come on. I was kind of bummed when they transitioned out of it being Bill and then into it being the new negotiator.
Yeah.
I was really missing him. I think little commercials like that where you can recur the same role and you can kind of have a little bit of fun. I think that's always a good idea, especially for a celebrity of his particular
Absolutely.
caliber, which there aren't many of his caliber. So
There are actually many commercials you can check out featuring Bill.
Yeah.
There's a great old 70s Loblaws commercial, if you know that grocery store chain, with his nice 70s sideburns too, I might add. And
Captain's Chops. Sorry.
There you go, yeah. And then there's also some unfortunate modern commercials, recent ones, featuring William Shatner advertising a CPAC sleeping machine.
Oh, I don't want to think of Bill Shatner that way.
I know, right?
Wow.
But go figure, I guess. Even some of the Priceline ones feature Leonard from Star Trek. So
Sure.
Those are really, really nice to have. One more final thing I want to add, and I think we have the picture of this. Okay. So a good friend of mine, Dylan Tavishian, who we've had on the show before, is even more than me a filmmaker. He's actually pursuing the career, and he was in a film class one day, and the professor. This was during the big time of the craziness. They were on Zoom,
yes.
And opens a window in the Zoom call, and who is it? William Shatner. And I get a text from him, and I think we have the picture. And then so he says, "Guess who I talked to?" I'm like, "Who? William Shatner?" "No, you didn't." Sends me the picture, and there it is.
Sure enough.
And it's even funny. The professor of this course was actually working with Bill to edit a documentary he was making about a fancy type of motorbike. I don't exactly remember what the motorbike was, but he was actually editing the documentary and working with Bill, which is really, really cool.
But just go ahead, Dylan. Talk to us.
Well, yeah, I'm into writing, directing, and producing films. I want to direct feature films and short films. I love writing. It's kind of where I'm headed to. I focus on horror movies and experimental and avant-garde films. I love collaborating.
What do you call avant-garde? What's avant-garde mean to you?
To me, it means things that are like experimental films, like films that have no plot really, or like if you've seen the movie Eraserhead, or movies that just want to challenge the conventions of cinema. I don't know. It's to me, it's just such a broad term. I can't really define it.
Well, that's what I think too. It's too grand a term to, unless you narrow it down to some specifics. It's avant-garde could cover everything. Really. Do you have a color, an area that particularly interests you?
Not really. I mean, if I'm writing a script or something, if I get a good idea in my head, I'll just write it down and see where I go from there.
Also, we are Concord TV. We are Concord, New Hampshire. So what could we possibly have a connection with Shatner for? Well, we did. He himself came to Concord at one point, to the Capitol Center of the Arts, and did a screening of Wrath of Khan.
Really?
And he did a Q&A after. Now,
delightful.
Unfortunately, it was very expensive, and I said to myself, I love Bill, but I could watch it at home.
Right.
So, but I did try to get an interview. They said no, but I even tried to get an interview with him after he did the Zoom call for my friend.
Right.
And this is where the niceness comes in. He actually responded back to me saying, I don't do private interviews, but I'm glad your friend had fun.
Cool.
He had the decency to do that.
Cool. That's nice.
So that was really nice of him to do, and I really, really thank him for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I suppose the reason she told you, and the reason you didn't get any other information, was because you got to know each other a little too well, yes? I used to be a ladies' man around here myself. Many times I felt like my shirt would rip for no reason, and I immediately would have to kiss the next woman I saw. When I met Wendy, it changed. She was a meteorologist fascinated with wind. The earthquakes, forget about those. Too predictable. I was the manufacturer developing the windmills you see. It was a match made in heaven. Now, as I'm sure many have told you before, you touched my woman, Bond. You hurt her.
Well, I suppose you either win or lose, Bond said in reply.
That's it! The two of you, move, now!
So we've come to the end of our Shatner talk. If you have no idea who we are talking about, who we have talked about today, if you actually don't know anything that we've said about this man, do yourself a favor, check it out.
Get educated.
Exactly, because this man will make you laugh. He will entertain you. He can be over the top, but he's a great actor.
Sure.
He's done, as you can see, many, many things. Even if you're not a Star Trek fan, check something else out.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor and watch and enjoy this man.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's got so many great moments to choose from.
Absolutely. So, since we've come to the end of our show,
yes,
it's time to play our favorite game in the entire world.
Oh.
It is time for another edition of Who Are You? There we go. Yeah, it's a great song. Great song. So, Zach, this is the part of the show where I'm going to play a clip for you.
Yes.
It could be from a movie. It could be from a TV show. I'm not saying.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with anything we've talked about.
Okay.
And basically, you have to tell me who are they,
yeah,
and or what they're from. Yes, I said they. We have two different voices in this one.
Okay.
So, without further ado, here's your clip.
Okay.
This time? Was there a last time?
Tell us about yourself, Karen.
All right, so there's the clip.
Yeah.
I'll give you 1 second to think about it. There's your second.
Yep.
Zach, do you have an answer?
For some reason, my gut instinct was to say the Garbage Pail Kids movie, but I couldn't tell you who was in it.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's got to be.
All right, let's see if you're right.
It's up this time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Was there a last time?
That was actually Rocky and
yourself,
Bullwinkle from the
Karen.
feature film they did in the year 2000.
They had a feature film?
I tell you, we are going to cover some live-action cartoon hybrids in the future.
Yeah.
This is a hidden gem.
I guess pretty hidden. I had no idea.
It was a hidden gem. It's fantastic. If you do get a chance to watch this movie, do it.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm sorry, I have to deduct 10,000 points.
Well, that's all right. I was getting cocky anyway.
There you go. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But I do want to extend my thanks to you for coming. It has been so much fun.
It has.
I will say this is actually the first time that Zach and I have met. We did some episodes of my Doctor Who show.
That's right.
And then a couple other films together. You even did an update.
I did.
this
That
show.
was a lot of fun.
So thank you for that. And I really do hope you come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it has been so much fun to have you. So thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And my name is Daniel Saletti. I want to thank also Conquer TV and our friend Matt for doing all the technical stuff. And my name is Daniel Saletti. This has been As the Real Turns. Bill, if you're watching, hope to talk to you soon in some way. Until then, that is a wrap.
And it goes like this. You take me where no man has ever gone to. So let's go light speed in a Bobby show. You want the moves like Shatner. Got the moves like Shatner. Got the moves